What up, Tube? If you type in Brian Rust interview, it's number 2.
There you go.
The only thing above it is his interview after they won the second cup with Brian Walsh. Or Rick Walsh, not Brian Walsh.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Around the 412. We are part of the Pod Hub Network and allsteelers.com. And we are sponsored by Keeks Barbershop. I'm Tyler, and with me as always is Smitty. What's going on?
Yeah, so this is, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's really not going to look that much different. If you're listening back, as we've mentioned before, we are going to start breaking the show up. As Tyler mentioned, being part of All Steelers, that way that content, our Steelers content, can just be easily accessible over there. If you're not interested in that stuff and you're just here for the Pens Pirate stuff, that will be on one show. If you're only interested in Steelers stuff, it's going to be right there. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. The episodes are going to be shorter because of that. Obviously, like I said, if you watch on YouTube, you're really not going to see much of a difference. You can just watch the whole thing through its entirety. But if you listen to them back as podcasts, the shows are going to be shorter in length, which, once again, we talked about last week, kind of a win-win for everybody. So, this is show number 1 of doing this, so we'll see how it goes.
And the funny part about this episode is that we didn't know it was going to happen until about a half hour ago. At least at this time, we didn't know it was going to happen until about a half hour ago. And I was driving home from work. Yeah. So I looked at my phone and I was like, okay, we're recording at 12:45. I'm still like 15 minutes away from home. Nice. And 12:45 was in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I remember because originally we were going to do the show on Thursday. This is before, Brian Rust got back to us about being able to do Thursday. So we didn't know that was going to be happening until Monday or Tuesday. And then, when we found out he could do Thursday, we were like, man, if we try to do all of that stuff on Thursday, that's going to be, like we were just bashing 2.5 hour shows. We probably would have been looking about like 2.5 hours of recording that day. So that just wasn't feasible. But yeah, here we are, ready to talk with you guys. I'm on a 97-degree roof. Stubbs worked on the roof again today. Nice. But anyway, Keeks Barbershop, which is an old-fashioned barbershop located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. Every Tuesday through Friday he's open 11 to 7, not just Tuesday, and 9 to 4 on Saturday. Every Tuesday, though, he does do $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, Keeks Barbershop, 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. So before we get into sports talk, need to talk about a big topic that's been going around on Twitter, and Stubbs just brought it up in here. What do you think the worst fast food restaurant is?
That's a really tough question because I've been to a lot of them. Like I've been to quite a wide spectrum. At least for the ones that are around the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah,
I would probably say Burger King would be
That's it. That's what I said, and that's why Stubbs is mad.
Well, here's
my thing. Here's my thing. I it's not even that I really dislike Burger King. I'll eat Burger King, but I'm saying as opposed to the other ones, because for me, if I'm getting Burger King, it's really only the chicken fries I like. Don't really care for their burgers. I'm not a huge fan of the flame broiled taste that they got going on there.
Yeah.
So if I go to Burger King, I'm getting chicken fries and fries, and I mean the ices do hit. So
Hardee's sucks. Okay, when's the last time you ate it? No, hold on. If we're talking Pittsburgh area, there's one Hardee's in all of the Pittsburgh area, and I'm pretty sure it's in Murraysville. So
I wasn't including them. So yeah,
I wouldn't either.
When I'm thinking of the ones that I would typically go to be picking from. If I sat down, I'm sure that I would pick another one out as opposed to Burger King. Sure.
Like if I'm thinking of all the fast food restaurants around here, so like McDonald's, Wendy's, Hot Dog Shop, Burger King, Arby's, Taco Bell, uh, Chick-fil-A, like Burger King's at the bottom of all those. I mean, it is what it is, and I will eat it, but it's just at the bottom tier. Although Hardee's, I've never really had their food besides breakfast, so I can't really speak on
Mm.
that. The only time I had Hardee's was whenever my family would drive down to South Carolina. When we go to the beach, we'd always stop at Hardee's for breakfast on our way there. So that's the only time I've ever had it. I haven't had like, do they serve like burgers? Is that what they?
Never had it.
I don't even know. I've only had their breakfast. So
And Ricky just said, I like Burger King's Whoppers more than McDonald's burgers. Listen, Ricky, we're all wrong every once in a while, so that's fine. But
listen,
Stubbs said Burger King is the only fast food place worth a damn. Dude.
Shut up, Stubbs. Okay. Now this is going to be controversial probably to a lot of people, but it's just based off the past couple months. Wendy's has been missing a lot for me. Like,
yeah, I don't know what they. First off,
I honestly
their
think,
first mess was switching from yellow to red.
well, for sure. But I mean, I love Baconators, but like I love their chicken nuggets. I don't know if they changed their chicken nuggets or like what they're made of, but they have not been good for the past 4 or 5 times I've been there.
Pandemic.
Maybe they changed the recipe or something, but they have been terrible. Like
Wendy's Wendy's used to be like my top choice.
Yeah, I would rather eat at McDonald's over Wendy's right now just because of my past experiences, like the past 4 or 5 times I've been there, and I've never said that before.
Yeah, it's tough.
You get a pass for wearing the Finn Balor shirt.
Finn Balor.
Balor? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, WWE NXT Takeover tonight. Shout out to Pat McAfee.
Oh yeah,
Adam Cole.
So okay, since we're bringing that up, how do you think that's going to go down? Like, I feel like you can't bring on.
We told people this is going to be a football show, but I mean, I guess it's kind of related. Pat McAfee played in the NFL.
Yeah, but like you can't. In my opinion, not everybody who knows has been listening to the show for a long time. I'm not a wrestling guy whatsoever. I didn't know who Adam Cole was before 2 weeks ago, so I want to know why. Like, if they can't have him lose early, and they can't have him lose easily, I feel like what's the point of bringing him on if that happens? So I feel like at least he has to put up a fight.
So the way that I'm expecting it to go, I'm actually expecting Pat McAfee to win this now, because of a scenario that I played out in my head. I think it's going to set up a new rivalry for Adam Cole, where somebody's going to interfere in the match and help Pat McAfee win.
That's what I thought was going to happen. That's like, if I was guessing, I thought someone would like help him win, and then Pat McAfee would pin him.
Yeah, and I don't think it can go very long. I mean, it's gonna be, because I get that it's scripted and everything like that, but those guys are still tremendous athletes, and it takes a lot out of you to be able to wrestle for a long time. If Pat McAfee can wrestle for like 10 minutes with one of the best in the world, I'm going to be very impressed. So I'm more curious as to like the duration of this thing, because he's going to have incredible stamina to stay in there with Adam Cole for, like I said, 10 minutes plus.
Is WWE Network free for the first month?
Yeah. If you can use, like, I think Stubbs has created like 15 different ones. So,
oh, really? Because I've never cared about watching wrestling before, but I want to watch this match.
It's gonna be interesting. I mean, the whole card looks pretty good, honestly. But yeah, Stubbs also mentioned that I don't eat a lot of food, so my opinion means nothing to him. That's honestly fair.
Honestly, yeah. I can say that.
But that could go two ways. Like, because I'm so picky, the food that I do like, maybe my opinion means more on.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, if you're eating a burger, you don't have anything else on it.
Exactly. So we're just talking about, what does that beef taste like?
Okay. Yeah.
There's nothing that can mask it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I still can't believe that like you and Sarge like don't eat like condiments or anything like that.
It is what it is. I mean, I wish that wasn't the case. Like, I would love for my taste buds to be different. I can't.
Do you not like ketchup or mustard or anything like that?
Nope.
Do you like any sauce of any
Barbecue.
kind? I want you to try and I brought this up to Stubbs before. There's a sauce that I have at my house. It's called J-Dog sauce. It's from a restaurant that's in Provo, Utah. And we got a couple bottles of it. I want you to try that. It's like a sweet sauce that people put on hot dogs out there.
On hot dogs?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
really good. I mean, I put it on all meat, but it's made on hot dogs.
Okay. You know what? I honestly feel like people would probably enjoy a whole podcast of us just talking about this type of stuff more than what we're going to. But
Probably. Maybe that could be another like AMA episode in the future.
yeah, we can talk about doing that soon. So, but anyway, let's talk about some NFL stuff. There is some stuff to talk about with the Steelers, but before we get to that, just general NFL talk. Not sure what's going on with this Earl Thomas situation for the Baltimore Ravens. Man, I it's been a long saga. It seems like with him, you know, going back to the weird situation with him and his wife and his brother and that whole thing, and now this getting into a fight at practice with his teammate Chuck Clark.
Yeah.
He was sent home and told not to come back. And you know, if they decide to suspend him for conduct that's like detrimental to the team, they can then release him without paying his guaranteed $10 million this year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I'll be honest. I was trying to think of the words to say, and I have no idea. Earl Thomas, to me, I mean, he sounds like he's more of a liability than anything at this point in his career. I mean, I get he can be a good safety still, but if they want to cut ties, I don't see it as the like biggest loss in the world.
He's nowhere near the player that he used to be in Seattle, and you know, obviously, you know, he had a pretty devastating leg injury that you could probably attribute that to. He gained a lot of weight at some point there as well. I don't know if it was just like one off season or if there was a lot of buildup there, but yeah, he just doesn't physically look like the same player either. And I know that there's a lot of people from what I've seen in that Ravens locker room that are very confident in the other safety that would be taking over for him should something happen with Earl Thomas and Deshaun Elliott out of Texas. They feel like he's able to play an expanded role there, and he could take over for Earl Thomas should something happen. So yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out. It kind of seemed like it was just, I mean, guys get in arguments all the time at training camp.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So the weird thing about it is, to me, is that we've seen guys push, shove, argue. We've even seen guys fight, and this has never happened to them. So what's the difference? Like, what did he say that could have caused this?
Yeah, you almost just wonder if the Ravens were looking for a way to cut ties without, you know, paying him anything. And this would be the perfect way to do it. Like, yeah, they still needed him to kind of create and walk into that scenario, because if he was just a model citizen, there was nothing there that would have, you know, given the Ravens a reason to release him. But hey, an opportunity opened up when him and Chuck Clark got into it. So I think that it's probably something that would be brushed under the rug if the Ravens weren't looking for a way to get out from under that contract.
Yeah, he's due. His cap hits $15 million, and this is only second
next year as well.
He signed when was his first year? Because he signed a 4-year deal there.
Yeah, so he's definitely on a contract for next year. But I'm trying to think if it was. I think this is probably year 3, honestly.
Is it? I really thought last year was his first year. Yeah, he's under contract for the next 2 years as well.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. His salary cap, his cap hit is 15 million, 16 million, 17 million the next 3 years.
So that was
he's not getting any younger.
So that was just in 2018 when that happened, when he got hurt with Seattle, was off the sideline.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense if they want to get rid of him, because 15, 16, 17 million for an aging safety. That, I mean, he's already seen the best of his career.
I mean,
I don't know. Maybe they were expecting more from him, but the thing is, he wasn't bad either.
No. But you don't pay a guy that's. I'm not sure if he's in the top 10 anymore at his position. Like, safety is such a deep position in the NFL, especially free safety. And I don't know that he's in the top 10 anymore. And you're paying him, you know, top 3 at his position.
Maybe he just got money because of his name, like his pedigree. But they signed him when he was 30, so it's never a smart thing to do.
Completely different type of note here. Shout out to Ron Rivera. We're wishing him the best. Cancer diagnosis in the lymph node area. You know, taking over a new football team in Washington, and now he, you know, has this thing going on in his personal life to deal with. You know, just the football situation for him, and now this, like on top of that, now this they caught it in the very early stages. It's very treatable from what I hear, so that's very good. But it's just what a terrible. I mean, 2020's been terrible for a lot of people, but for Ron Rivera walking into that situation and then everything that came down there with Washington, the changing of the name, obviously that was coming, and that's a good thing that they did that. All the stuff behind the scenes that was going on there, apparently, under Dan Snyder's watch, and now this for him in his personal life. I mean, 2020 has really just been a tough year for Ron Rivera, so shout out to him for pushing through it.
Yeah, it just keeps laying on for him. But it is a good sign that they say it's very curable and treatable. So we'll keep him in your thoughts and hope for the best for him.
Also related to Washington, Alex Smith back on the football field. That's unbelievable. I mean, if you've seen what a devastating injury. If you saw the injury take place, if you saw what his leg looked like after, getting those procedures done, we know that at one point it seemed like it was like a life-threatening thing because it got infected. There was a time where we thought he was going to lose his leg. A ton of things have happened with Alex Smith during this whole process. So the fact that he's even, I don't know if he's going to get into a game. We'll see. But the fact that he's even on a football field right now is remarkable. And, it sounds like he's going to be given a chance to win that starting job. I mean, to me, you got to see what you have in Dwayne Haskins. I mean, you spent the 15th overall pick on him just last year. So you got to see what you have in him. But for Alex Smith, I mean, that's if he's anywhere near the player he was, that's one of the better backups in the league for sure. And just from like a mental standpoint to help out Haskins, that'd be great for them as well. Obviously, you wouldn't want to be paying a mentor $16 million like they're going to be, but hey, it is what it is. I still think that Alex Smith's a valuable asset to that franchise.
Yeah, I mean, these are completely different injuries, but Alex Smith coming back reminds me kind of if, say, Ryan Shazier were to come back for the Steelers, whereas completely different injuries, but they were similar in the fact that people were saying, like, probably never going to play again. I mean, at certain points, people were thinking he would lose his leg, which is crazy. But now he's back and he's able to play football, which, I mean, even if he doesn't win the starting job, I feel like he's probably just happy to be back with the team and being able to play because I'm sure once you get to that level, you love the game so much to be taken away from you and to work your way back to it. That's probably a great feeling.
I'm curious as to if we were getting preseason football, I would doubt it because of the injury that he's coming off of, but I'd be curious if he would play at all. Because, he had that injury and everything like that. But if he's the backup, like you would expect Haskins wouldn't be playing that much during the preseason. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they would do about the quarterback position during the preseason if we had one.
Yeah, for sure. That injury was in 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's crazy. Good for him.
Yeah. So just related to the NFL, no cheerleaders or mascots will be on the field this year. I feel like that was coming anyway.
Steelers fans are unaffected.
Yeah, the Steelers are kind of unaffected with that being that they don't have cheerleaders. I mean, I feel bad for those people. That's obviously, what they do. It's their livelihood. They want to be out there. But from an NFL, it's not even, maybe it's just because we're Steeler fans. It's not something that I would really even notice, I don't think.
Maybe if you're a Cowboys fan, you notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, definitely we are biased because we don't have cheerleaders as it is, but I don't really think unless you're at the game, it doesn't really add anything. And even then, how much does it add? And I hate sound like I'm taking away from them because that's their job and they do a great job, but I don't know. It doesn't. It's kind of like cutting the fat, kind of more so like we were talking before, where they can't meet after games. It's just like getting rid of small stuff to prevent anything.
Well, obviously these people are on a completely different athletic level from cheerleaders and stuff at younger ages.
Yeah.
But that, I feel like it means more at that age than when it gets to the pros, at least from the spectacle of it all, the football game. Cheerleader are the high school level, as a fan, you notice them too, as well as the football game. At the NFL level, I don't really think that that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe we're completely wrong because we don't have cheerleaders.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody listens to this that is a fan of a different team, or something, I mean, let us know because we could be way off base here. But
And when it comes to the mascot, Steely McBeam's an idiot, and I hate him. So I honestly was so mad whenever they brought him in because I like took a little bit of pride that like we didn't have cheerleaders, we didn't have a mascot, like we were just the Steelers, and then they brought in that big old oaf of an idiot, and he just looks terrible.
the Vikings mascot's pretty cool, and I've heard like other players have told stories about like how cool he is and stuff like that. So that's a shame for them. Also, Ryan said he's going to Burger King. Sorry to hear that, Ryan. We'll keep you in our thoughts. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's neither here nor there. For the Steelers, like I said, really doesn't impact them. So, so there's this idea now, and of course, because of everything that's going on, about an NFL playoff bubble. Now, nothing's like imminent on this front. It's just something that could be kicked around. We'll see what's going on with the virus as we get closer to the playoffs, but they should probably have a plan in place pretty soon if that's going to be what they want to do. So I don't know what cities they'd be looking at, or if it would just be one. That'd be interesting, I guess, as well. But we've seen the way that the bubbles work, and we've seen the way that sports work when they're not inside of a bubble. In the bubble, it works. You look at the NHL, 0 positive tests since they started it. Look at the NBA. The NBA is apparently going to start trying to bring in like family members of players for these playoff games at some point, I guess. I don't know. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. It might have just been a rumor that I saw. But, these bubbles have worked out for these leagues. And, look at the MLB constantly having to postpone these games and now have 7-inning doubleheaders. The Cardinals have played, maybe 10 games now. I'm not sure exactly where they're at, but they played like less than half of some teams. And it's a mess.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to what cities they would do because obviously it has to be teams or places that have 2 stadiums, I would assume. So that automatically narrows it down to only a couple. Well, even New York, they only have 1 stadium, so it can't be New York. I mean, LA would probably make the most sense.
They have to be NFL stadiums. I
guess not. As long as they fit inside of it. Like if you have like an MLS stadium, you could do it there too. But I don't know because in normal playoffs, weather doesn't matter. I wonder if there's a bubble, if they will take weather into consideration. Like, would they go to like LA because it has better weather as well? Because I mean, there's a big difference between like playing in LA and playing in Foxborough. So,
man, the maintenance of those fields though, because think about like what Steeler games are like. If Pitt played the day before, that field is just torn up.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's smart, and I also wonder, like, say they plan this before the season starts. We're going to have a playoff bubble, and then sometime during the season, somehow miraculously all this ends, like either there's a vaccine or something. Would they just kind of nix that and say, okay, we're going back to normal playoff format, or we're still having a bubble? Or
I don't know, because you would think that they're going to have an agreement in place well beforehand. So I think like contractually, I'm not sure if they'd be able to do that.
Yeah. Maybe the NFL would say, like, if something happens, we're getting rid of this.
But to be safe, even if there were, I just don't see a way that that anything's going to change before February when the Super Bowl will take place. So
where is the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, good question. Last year was in Miami, right?
Tampa.
It's in Tampa this year?
It says 2021, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Steelers have already won a Super Bowl there. Might as well make another one. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the idea. It's going to be intriguing to see if they, how much further it goes. Okay, so talking about some Steeler stuff now. Juju and Cam, who are both due new contracts after the season, kind of had different answers when asked about their contracts. Juju just kind of said he's not worried about it. He's just focusing on football this year. The standard answer. Where Cam, said it takes 2 to tango, and he wants to be a Steeler for life. Now, I have no problem with what either of those guys said, obviously. But I wonder how differently people would take it if Juju were to say it takes 2 to tango.
They'd probably be offended. There'd probably be a
That's
certain.
what I'm thinking. You know, and again, nothing. I have no issue with Cam saying that. He's absolutely right. It's been pretty clear for a long time that he wants to remain a Steeler, and it's about. And I don't even know if it's about money. It's probably about the years because he's already 31. You know, how many more years do they want to commit to this guy? But I don't think it's ever been an issue on his side. It's more so what are the Steelers willing to do in terms of years for him. But yeah, I mean, I have no problem with him saying that. And I know that a lot of people probably would have a problem if Juju said it.
Yeah, and I just think that's a double-edged sword with Juju because he can never do anything right for a certain group of people in this city for some reason. But you're right. I have no problem with either the way those guys handled it. But I think with Cam saying that, it's more so like he wants to get it done now more than waiting for the season to end. Because we already know it's not going to happen during the season, which can we just say that is such a stupid, like, archaic rule by the Steelers. Archaic might be the wrong word, but it just seems like it's such an old-fashioned rule that they have to not talk contract during the season, and I do not understand it whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. To be honest with you, it's more beneficial for them to do it. You know, you can lower his cap number for this year and make sure he's taken care of in the future as well. So I don't get from their standpoint, you know, I really don't get what the holdup is. I get that he's 31. So unless he's looking for like, you know, 6 years, which I wouldn't be willing to do. I mean, if the holdup is, you know, you want to do 3, he wants to do 4, something like that. I mean, listen, you can make if for whatever reason he falls off a cliff in 4 years, whatever it might be, there's ways to work around it then to get rid of that year or whatever. You know, just at that point, bite the bullet because at that time your window with Ben is probably going to be closed. You know, I mean, I don't get. I really can't figure out what the holdup would be. It can't be a money thing.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And like if it was me, I would want to offer him a 3-year deal. But if he wants 4, give him 4. I agree with you. If that's the only thing holding you up, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a problem. And with Juju, I think the way he said it was that he just wants to play. And part of that might be because he wants to put up better numbers this year, prove he's still the wide receiver that put up over 1,000 yards. Because if you just go based off last year, he probably doesn't want to talk contract right now.
Yeah.
So, of course, he would want to play football first and then talk contract.
Well, that's what we said. That's what we've been saying is he's a very tough evaluation from a contract standpoint because he had a productive rookie year where he just got better every single week. Year 2, phenomenal, Pro Bowler. You know, best season that we've seen alongside Antonio Brown out of anybody ever. The best wide receiver 2 season that we've seen in Steelers history. And then obviously last year, down year, injuries, the whole offense was down though, you know, so how do you evaluate that? I mean, you really, I guess, just got to turn on the tape and see how often he was open and, you know, when he did play and things of those nature, because the stat sheet will not tell the story on his 2019 season just because of everything that was happening around him as well. So, yeah, very hard to evaluate him from a contract standpoint, but I agree. You know, he wants to get out there and play football and show that he is more like the 2018 Juju than the 2019 Juju. You know, give me the quarterback that I had that 2018 year with back on the field, and let's see what we can do before even talking about a contract. So, yeah, I mean, for either side, you know, negotiating a contract after his 2019 year that he had really wouldn't have made sense, you know, because the Steelers would have been lowballing him. He would have been looking for way too much money for what he did. So it again, really just didn't make sense to even think about a contract until we see what he can do back with Ben.
You know, part of being a fan sucks because you get attached to these players, and I've been leaning more towards the side. I don't think Juju will be back with the Steelers next season. I think he will price himself out.
I really don't know where I'm at on it, to be honest. Like, if you were asking me, if I had to make a decision right now, I don't think he'll be back. But, you know, I could see it going either way. And I think regardless of what it is, it won't be about anything that, like, the media tries to make it about. Like, I know for a fact the Steelers organization loves him. The teammates love him. Everybody in the Steelers organization loves that guy. And I say guy, he's 23 years old, and he's in his fourth season in the NFL.
Yeah.
But I just, it's not going to be because of the way that he acts off the field. You know, he likes to have fun and all those antics, if you want to call him that, like Mark Madden does. It's not going to be because of that he's not playing football in Pittsburgh for the rest of his career. You know, he has a brand that we know about, and it is what it is. I mean, you can like it, you can dislike it. It is what it is. But a lot of guys coming into the NFL now are going to be the exact same way, you know. And I don't want to say they prioritize their brand over football, but it's important to them, and we know that his brand's important to him. If a team can pay him just as much money as the Steelers are willing to, but are in an area, you know, like in LA or in New York where he can market himself even more, you know, it's kind of a no-brainer from that standpoint. But again, you know, then you're kind of, you know, maybe you don't get the same quarterback. Maybe you don't have the same production. You don't have the same chance of winning as you do in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of factors that are going to play into this decision. But I'm just saying from the Steelers standpoint, it's going to be about football from their standpoint. It's not going to be about the stuff off the field.
Yeah, and I wasn't even weighing in him wanting to brand himself into my decision. The only thing I'm thinking about is that you're potentially going to give Cam a new contract. You're going to have to give TJ a contract. You're going to eventually have to give Minkah a contract. It's just eventually the money doesn't add up, and I just don't see being able to unless he has like a very down year again, not like down like last year, but just not up to what we saw earlier, and he can take less. Like if he has another year 2 Juju year, I just think there's a good chance that he will price himself out, and the Steelers just won't be able to pay him based off the future contracts they have to sign.
I get that, but you see what these other teams are able to do, like the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's like nothing's off the table. Like everything's a possibility. There's always ways to work around the salary cap. If they really want
exist,
if they really want to keep Juju and Juju wants to be a Steeler, they'll make it happen. You know, regardless of the future deals that they need to sign. Especially because by the time that it's time, you know, to sign Minkah to a new deal, who knows what's going to be going on with Ben? You know, he might not. We could see an extension at some point that would, you know, run into when Minkah needs extended. But as of right now, that's not the case. So they'd have plenty of money at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just leaning like if I had to pick right now, I'm picking that he probably won't be, which sucks. It honestly does.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, from a football point of view, I mean, I don't want to say that he's, you know, replaceable. He wins in different ways. I know he doesn't separate the way that, you know, Deontay Johnson does or anything like that, but he's physical and he wins in the slot, overpowering, you know, smaller guys that play in the slot or beating linebackers with his speed that he still possesses, even though being a bigger guy. You know, he wins in different ways and it works for him. But at the same time, you know, the Steelers will just find another guy, you know, and it sucks to say that because, you know, it sucks to say any player is just another guy. But it's more about, like you said, you as much as you don't want to, you get attached to guys for the way that they are off the field and how awesome he's been in the community and everything like that. Just his personality is infectious. And he's made a name here for himself very quickly in Pittsburgh that, yeah, if he does go, you know, a lot of people are going to be upset about losing him as a person, maybe just as much as the football player.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he will be one that fans will be very upset that the Steelers couldn't get something done. Even though they might not understand it from a business perspective, just from a fan perspective of the team, I think they'll be very upset because the city fell in love with him so quickly. It was like instantaneous.
Yeah. Okay, so the last thing about to talk about the Steelers in the show, just some training camp notes. Juju's one of the guys, you know, we've seen kind of his body transform, especially if you look back on like when he was first drafted to now. But even like year 3 to year 4, the work that this guy's put in is incredible. But you could say that about so many guys on the team. You know, Deontay Johnson's added some weight and then he dropped a little bit of weight back to where he said his ideal playing weight is at like 186. I think he went from 181 to 193. Now he's down to like 186. But he looks, you know, very good. Benny Snell is really the guy to talk about when you talk about transforming their body. He did exactly what we all expected him to do. You know, year 2 of running backs in the Steelers organization, it's what they do. They cut that weight. They want to get more agile, have more burst. and that's what Benny Snell did. He looks like a guy that's ready to take on a larger role should he be called upon. Um, and it's Mark Caboli talked about it yesterday. He said he still expects James Conner to be like the do it all back and be the lead guy, and it's not going to be much of a running back by committee. I mean, he's covered the team for a long time. He has more knowledge of that than I do, for sure. But I don't see how that's the case. I mean, it's good for everybody if he sees less carries in 2020. You want to get those guys involved. Benny Snell put that work in for a reason. From what I've seen, Anthony McFarland was really good in training camp. They drafted him, with their third draft choice, so they want to use him as well. I don't see a way that James Conner is getting nearly as many touches as he did in 2018, or they tried to give him in 2019 in 2020.
Yeah, it seems like a smarter decision to go by running back by committee, just for the health of James Conner. You want him in playoff time, and the past few seasons he hasn't been able to be quite healthy around that time. So, I mean, last year it didn't matter, but you want that guy to be healthy. So if you're going to make him that number one, you want him to be that guy in playoffs as well. So it's smarter to share the load, I guess.
Interesting thing that I just thought of as you were saying that, though. And I don't think that that'd be the case, because especially if like McFarland and Snell were playing very well at the beginning of the year, you want to keep using them. But what if they just like lightened Connor's workload, the beginning and middle of the season, so he were able to have the larger amount of touches down the stretch?
I mean, that could work too. But like you said, if they get those touches and they produce with them, how are you just going to take them away from those guys?
Yeah, that's the thing. They would have to not be producing. If they're not producing, they're getting the touches taken away from them. It just ends up being Connor again anyway. So yeah, it's really not something that would ever happen. I just thought of it as you were saying about him being healthy towards the playoff run. But yeah, I don't see a way that all three of those guys aren't utilized, and who knows who the fourth running back's going to be. We have Kareth White, we have Jalen Samuels, we have Edmonds, and we have Wendell Smallwood. Who's going to be the fourth running back? Jalen Samuels got kind of left behind, especially with like the COVID. He was on the COVID list for a while. But then, we go and get a guy like Ray McLeod, who is a returner, and you think, oh man, they could be getting him to take away, Kareth White's role, so he won't be the fourth running back. So I have no idea which way that's going to go. But I feel like they're going to carry four. I just don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, and also didn't Benny Snell, he didn't get a like workout regimen from the Steelers to like tell him to lose weight.
Yeah, he said he just did that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting, because it seems like the Steelers, maybe it's just like the Steelers don't even like say anything. It's just like that's just what you do here. Like you lose weight.
Yeah. Some other notes. Eric Ebron's been getting high praise from a lot of people. So has rookie Chase Claypool. But the one to talk about, Ryan Switzer. This guy, I mean, we know the work that he put in the offseason. It shows. I mean, like I tweeted out, regardless of what happens results-wise in 2020, I don't think you can discredit the amount of work that he put in to try to have the season he thinks he's capable of having. And he said it's not about proving people wrong, it's about proving certain people right, which to me, proves what everybody has thought this whole time, that it's more so about, him and Ben's relationship than anything else. Is Ben's a believer in him, so that's why he's here. And he has to prove him right this year. So, Ben has to kind of shoulder that blame if it doesn't work out, because he's the reason he's here. But yeah, he looks completely different physically, and we're hearing good things about what he's doing on the football field as well. He looks good in training camp from what I'm seeing from a lot of these reports. So I don't know what to make of it. We'll see if it translates. And you have to question what his role would even be, because, he's a slot guy, and that's where they want to put Juju back in, because that's where he works best. So it'll be interesting to see what role he even has on this team. But
hey, that's what I was wondering, because besides being a returner, at best, you would guess he would probably be your fifth wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point, who's he playing over, and in what situations is he playing over them?
Yeah, that's when I don't think you play him in the red zone at all. It's going to be like if you're going 5 wide, 2 guys in the slot, and you choose to put him in there over it, as opposed to like flexing Ebron out. I don't know. I mean, that's really the only scenario where I see it happening.
Yeah, although we've watched the past few seasons, they're definitely going to manage to get him in there. We just don't. I'm not sure how. He'll definitely play. Like, he'll probably take snaps away from someone that we were like, why is he in there right now? But
Yeah, and talking about Jalen Samuels kind of getting left behind due to the COVID thing. James Washington was on the COVID list for a while, and now he's dealing with some. I think he got back on the practice field yesterday, but he was dealing with some type of minor injury, so he hasn't really been able to get acclimated into this offense. And I understand, he's kind of already been part of the team, but him and Ben, really haven't gotten on the same page yet.
Mm-mm.
So for a guy like that, I mean, that doesn't bode all that well. I mean, we're talking about guys that we could potentially see Switzer play over. Claypool's a rookie, so although they are very high on him, we've seen a lot of talk about training camp. Claypool's a rookie, and this stuff going on with James Washington, really not getting out there with Ben and not really having that repertoire yet.
Yeah, I saw someone tweet that they think that Claypool will step into the role as being a deep threat guy very quickly because of his speed and his size, which is what they drafted James Washington to be, but he just hasn't been that.
Yeah, I saw somebody say it's like when he only had him for 11 games, but when Ben had Plaxico Burress, like he hasn't had a guy like that since Plaxico, and now you add Chase Claypool, who his NFL comparisons have kind of been all over the place. The one that I really liked, and I brought it up on a different show that we were on. Shout out to Yinzertainment Podcast. Go listen to them if you haven't. Follow them on Twitter. When we were on there, I brought up that Vincent Jackson was probably the best NFL comparison that I saw, and I really liked. Hey, if he's Vincent Jackson, I'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
You didn't like the Megatron comparison?
I don't see it. I mean,
if you're going fit based on his physical build, sure, but his actual gameplay, no.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, I think he's going to be a very good player. I think he's a very productive player. He plays a lot faster than it looks like he would. But yeah, I don't see Calvin Johnson in him, to be honest. But hey,
that's asking a lot of any.
Here's to hoping.
Yeah.
Other than that, we have the battle going on at right tackle between Chooks and Banner, which right now I think a little bit of an edge is going to Chooks. I picked Banner to win that battle. It sounds like it's up in the air. Offensive line coach Sean Surratt kind of gave them both a lot of credit for the work they put in. So I think you could go either way. The other, the third inside linebacker, which it looks like I would assume is going to be Ulysses Gilbert. He's played really well. He's getting a lot of praise for his coverage of running backs and tight ends. I think that really the only thing I really haven't seen much of is who's going to be the third quarterback between Duck and Paxton Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any talk of either one of those guys.
At that point, I really hope it won't matter this season again, like it did last season. But when it comes to tackle, I heard Stan Savran on the radio this week say that they want Chooks to win the job. So
that's what I said, because think about, they invested a third-round pick in him, and it was in a draft class which really hasn't paid much in terms of dividends from that draft class to this point yet.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Edmonds doesn't look like he should have been a first-round pick. James Washington, he's been a productive player for us, but again, him and Ben just haven't been able to find that connection yet. And then you have the 2 third-round picks, Mason Rudolph and Chooks. So that draft class, you're hoping pays dividends for you, as every draft class does. And they haven't gotten much from it to this point. So yeah, I think there's much more invested in Chooks winning the job. So they would like for him to win it. But we know that, it's the Steelers. They don't operate like that. Like, whoever's the best guy is going to get the job. Would they rather it be Chooks? Sure, but he's got to go and earn it.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, if you have Banner and Wisniewski as your two, your guard and tackle backups, that's good for your depth.
Kevin Dotson?
Yeah. It's they've got decent depth behind them. So whoever wins the job, I think they'll be able to be manageable. I
think this is, even though we lost Ramon Foster due to retirement and everything like that, I think that our offensive line hasn't been this deep in quite some time. Because I know that Derwin Gray, who was on here, they like him a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's exciting. It's good to have position battles.
Yeah, exactly. The last, and then I think that 2 nose tackle, trying to replace the snaps from Hargrave. We talked about, looks like it's going to be Tyson Alualu, as we all expected. Our boy Chris Wormley was dealing with a little bit of an injury too. Again, he's not a natural guy at that position. They don't have anybody that really is besides rookie Carlos Davis. So whoever wins that position, they're going to be playing a little bit out of position. At the same time, Steelers don't play, that base defense a lot anyway, unless they're playing against the Ravens. So they don't need a whole lot of snaps there.
Yeah, for sure. It's not nose tackle is one of the positions that's. I guess it depends on the scheme you run, but for the Steelers, it's just not as needy. I guess needed. I don't know what word you use. Yeah, like this isn't the defense that had Cam Hayward up front, or not Cam Hayward. Casey Hampton up front. So it's just I was like blanking on his name. But yeah, nose tackle. I'm sure Tyson Alualu will win the job and he'll do fine in there. Big Polly kid. So.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that's all we got in the NFL world. So to wrap up this portion of the show, I'll tell you guys about Keith's Barbershop one more time. Keith's Barbershop is an old-fashioned barbershop located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. And every Tuesday, there's $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, that's Keith's Barbershop. We are around the 412. We are part of the Pod Hub Network and allsteelers.com, where you can go and grab this. You can find it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast at. If you're listening back and want to go watch this, please head over to our YouTube page. You can hit subscribe, notification bell, like the video, comment, do it all, and be sure to come back next time when we go live. Like I said, you're watching this on YouTube already. Not much to change for you. We're gonna go right back into our Pens Pirates talk. Also,
another intro.
Huh?
We'll just have another intro.
Yeah, we'll just have another intro. But also, if you are a fan of the Pens and missed it, I would recommend you go back and listen to our interview with Brian Rust. It was just done 2 days ago. Great conversation with him. Excited. He better. I'm not even gonna say it on here. Never mind.
I don't even know what you're gonna say.
No, I'll tell you after we're done recording. But
okay.
Other than that, it's been Smitty and Tyler, all Steelers. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're still live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube.
Yeah.
You just stopped the recording in OBS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we just have to do it all over.
Nice.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Around the 412. We are part of the Pod Hub Network and allsteelers.com, and we are sponsored by Keith's Barbershop. I'm Tyler, and with me as always is Smitty. What's up, Smitty? We just did this.
long time to talk.
I know, it's crazy.
But it's not always going to be this way. But I should explain. Like, I'm not going to explain this every time, just because it's like the first one we've done like this. We just recorded our All Steelers show, so for people that watch on YouTube, you're not going to see much of a difference. But if you're listening back, you're only going to hear Pens and Pirates talk on this episode. The Steelers episode will be completely different. They'll be put out as 2 separate podcasts. Probably put out the Steelers one first, and then you'll see this one after. So I don't know when you're listening to this, but the Steelers one already been put out at this point. Tell you guys about Keith's Barbershop before we get into the talk. Keith's Barbershop is an old-fashioned barbershop located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. Open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. Again, Keith's Barbershop. $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses every single Tuesday. Keith's Barbershop, 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. I wanted to mention this on the last show. Completely forgot, so I'll bring it up now. Rocking Around the 412, year 3 is going strong. With the donations we've got already, with the donations we know we have coming, I'm pretty confident that we are going to pass year 1 and year 2 totals, probably combined. Last year, it was a great year for us, raised around $2,200, something like that. But this year, I really feel like we're going to be able to pass that total. And even potentially adding year 1 to year 2, we could pass those 2 totals combined. Year 3's has been great right from the jump. And it's going to be the same mission as year 2. If you guys followed us for a while and know what we did last year, with the mission providing Christmas to families who otherwise wouldn't be able to give their kids the Christmas that we know that they deserve. Growing up, we're both pretty fortunate. We know that it's not that way for everybody. So as evidenced by last year was amazing. Like one of the families from Tyler's church, 8 kids. Like I can't imagine that, and having to find a way to provide Christmas for those kids. So I
Shopping was
remember,
a mess, especially when we were shopping for the girls. We were like, we don't,
yeah, like makeup and
yeah, we were like, we called my mom because we had no idea what to get.
no, but yeah, I mean, it was a fun experience.
Yeah,
And knowing that we were able to make that their Christmas, and then I remember like we had money left over after, and we were just like, might as well just get a Switch for that family. So
yeah,
yeah,
it was awesome. So also, if you know of anyone,
yeah,
or if you are a family that you think you could help, need some help, feel free to reach out. Don't be embarrassed or anything like that. We want to help. So any information can help.
especially like I mean, not that you should be embarrassed ever, but there's so many people that are going to need the help this year in 2020 with everything that's happened. It's going to be a new experience for us. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how we have to go about getting this stuff, but we're definitely going to make it happen. And you know, for the families, yeah, there's families that probably weren't expecting to need financial help at holiday time that might now need it because of everything that's gone down in 2020. So again, yeah, if you are a family in need, or if you know a family in need, reach out to us via DM, or you can send us an email at around the 412 at gmail.com. Other than that, let's talk about some Pens, and let's talk about some Pirates. Let's talk about those leagues in general. Um, Speaking of the Pens, just had Brian Rust on here on Thursday. Great conversation with him. Spending some time up in Canada right now during the off season, getting out of the U.S. Big shout out to him. Um, so I would go back and listen to that if you missed it. Other than that, starting in the NHL world, non-Penguins related, we're going in to the next round of the NHL playoffs. 8 teams left.
Yep.
Not really too many surprises. It's a lot of teams that were involved in the round robin. Just one team from each side that wasn't part of that. Who are your so let's just go through some picks, I guess, for the second round, because it's like I said, it's pretty much the teams that we expected to be there, minus one from each side. You know, there's something about this Vancouver team that I really like. Now they're matching up with Vegas, which is a tough draw. I'm going to go out on a limb here. This might be a hot take. I'm picking Vancouver to beat Vegas.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
I really like their goaltender, Jacob Markstrom, which is funny because like they have that big goalie prospect that like everybody's waiting for, Thatcher Demko. Thought he's like
Yeah.
a big thing. And Jacob Markstrom is just unwilling to give up that net, at least right now. We'll see if when he needs a new contract they pay him or just go with Demko. But and then the rest of their team, I just really like their blue line. I think that they got good forward depth. Their fourth line center, that Tyler Mott, I mean, he scored 4 goals in the last 2 games to finish the series off. They're a very deep team. And, I don't know what it is about them, but I think that we're about to talk about the other Western Conference series anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that they're the best team in the West. But I don't know. There's something about Vegas that I don't trust. I don't know if it's their blue line. I don't know if it's the inconsistent goaltending, because they obviously, they beat Chicago in that series, but there was times where I thought like Vegas was just that much better of a team other than the goaltending. Like I felt like Corey Crawford was the better goaltender than Robin Lehner or Marc-Andre Fleury. It's just Chicago wasn't getting enough shots to those guys.
And we saw that they used both. They ended up using both, which I get they played back to back, but still, I don't know. It's never good whenever you're I guess can you call Marc-Andre Fleury a franchise goalie for them? Because he's
I
been
mean,
their
they traded for
guy.
Robin Lehner to be the starter because Fleury had an under 900 save percentage.
I
So
know that's why I'm saying it's never good whenever you're starting goalie to this point. I mean, it's the only goalie your squad has ever had is like his number one goalie. They trade for him. I mean, originally Vegas was my pick to make it to the Cup, like to before the start of the playoffs from the West, and now I'm not so sure. You're right. This Vancouver team has been very hot. The
that's what it's about.
Elias Pettersson is a beast. He is an undeniable star in this league. Um, and I think I'm with you. I'll be honest. Who's their goalie? What's his name?
Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah. Okay. I want to look up what his stats have been so far, because just the whole team all around has been playing very well. So playoffs. Let's see. This is his first year in the playoffs. He's got a 929 save percentage and 2.44 goals against. So, he's on fire. The whole team's on fire. I'm with you. I'm picking Vancouver. It reminds me of the team in 2011 where they went to the Stanley Cup and lost to
Boston.
Yeah, I was cheering for them so hard. I hate Boston. They suck, and they don't suck. I just wish they sucked.
Dude, when Vancouver lost that series, they just started burning stuff.
I know.
Imagine if they go back to the final and don't win again. The other series out west, Colorado, Dallas. It's weird because other than like
Game 1 tonight, by the way.
What?
Game 1 is tonight of that series.
Tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we're doing this so we can make our picks before we get like a game to say.
Mm-hmm.
But it might change what we're going with. I'm going with Colorado here. I mean, I do like this Dallas team. That last game against Calgary, Calgary scored 3 goals before Dallas had a shot, and then they just scored 7.
Yeah.
They had that one guy score 4.
The first team in NHL history to be down by 3 in the playoffs and then end up winning by 4.
Miro Heiskanen is a superstar defenseman. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if he's not like obviously my first pick if I'm starting a franchise, but there is a group of young elite defensemen in this league that are like all under 22 years old, and he's part of it. He's a stud already.
Yeah.
And people wonder why Dallas just was. I mean, I remember talking about it on here because Dallas is like a front runner for Erik Karlsson. They didn't want to trade this kid, and now we're seeing why. But
yeah,
I still think Colorado's my pick to come out of the West, so that's why I'm sticking with them.
So I said originally that Vegas was my pick to come out of the West, and it's not who I wanted. That's just who I thought was going to be. And then after the qualifying round, I picked Colorado. That was who I think is making it to the Cup. So I'm with you. I think Colorado was going to make it. I just think they're too solid of a team to lose this round. I think Dallas is too spotty. Like they're too hot and cold. They made it past Calgary, which I probably wouldn't have picked them to do that, but I just don't see them making it past Colorado. I think Colorado's offense is too good.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring series. We don't talk about much betting on here, but I think the over is 5.5 for tonight. I'd be taking the over.
Why can't I say his name? Grubauer.
Yep, Philip Grubauer.
937 save percentage, 1.49 goals against average.
Oh.
In 6 games of the playoffs. So I'm guessing in the qualifying round they played different goalies. He's only played 6 games.
Yeah, they have that rookie Francouz or Francois, whatever how it's pronounced.
Is he French Canadian?
No idea.
Oh, well, I mean, based off these stats, if they're not playing Grubauer. Holy crap! Why do I keep wanting to put another R?
I don't know.
Grubauer. They're dumb. 937 save percentage. Yeah, that's gonna be hard to play against if you're Dallas.
Yeah.
Because to me, I mean,
Dallas. I wouldn't even be thinking about the goaltender. Like regardless of who they had in the net, I'd probably pick them to win the series.
Yeah, Dallas to me is just very underwhelming offensively. Like I know they've got like Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, they got Pavelski, but for the majority of the year, I feel like those guys underperformed, especially Pavelski. Pavelski was trash during the regular season. He didn't score a goal in like over 20-some games in a row.
This is where he makes his money, though.
I had him in fantasy, so that's why I would know. I ended up dropping him. But I mean, I know they clicked last series. I just think that Colorado's too good. I mean, that's at this point, that's who I want to win the Stanley Cup. Just flat out. That's
whoever wins that series, honestly, for me, or Vancouver. I don't have a problem with anybody in the West. Vegas would actually be my least, like the one that I would least want out of the West.
Same.
From the East, it's tough because
from the East, I can tell you my order of who I'd want.
Okay, well, first off, let's look at the series. Islanders, Philly. Again, might be a hot take. I'm picking the upset. I'm going with the Islanders over Philly.
And I completely understand why you are. I think the Islanders are too well of a coach team to lose these.
Philly just didn't impress me in that series with Montreal.
Yeah. I completely understand why you are. I think I'm still picking Philly, though. partially because whenever someone asked me at work who do I think is going to the Stanley Cup, I said Philly, and I hated it.
I
Sounded
did
like
after the qualifiers,
yeah.
but I've changed my mind.
So I'm still gonna pick Philly, even though I really want to pick the Islanders. I just don't. I don't want us to pick all the same teams too. So, but I get it. The Islanders are so well coached. They're so hard to play against. We saw it last year as the Penguins fans. We saw it against the Capitals this year, and we're probably going to see it against Philly this year. They do not go out easily. They I don't want to say they play a trap. Like they're not only a trap team because they can score goals too. Because they're not like a trap team where if they only score 1 or 2 goals, the game's over. Like they won. They'll put up 4 or 5 goals, but it's just Barry Trotz has taken that team and made them just a whole unit, pretty much the exact opposite of what we watched in the Penguins against Montreal. Because the Penguins, they played like no sinking at all. I sound like an idiot right now. They had no. I couldn't think of the word to say.
Chemistry. There was
there was nothing to like help them out, and it's the complete opposite with the Islanders. And I wonder if the Capitals are like really regretting not giving him that contract. The Barry Trotz, I mean.
Probably, because I know Todd Reardon's on the hot seat right now. You could see a lot of change with that organization too. I mean, people are talking about the Penguins, changing the organization, but with the Caps, and they handed out a ton of massive contracts recently. What was it? 8 years for Carlson, 8 years for Oshie. I mean, Orlov got a nice deal. Obviously, Obi's going to be there. Kuznetsov got like 8 years, didn't he? Didn't those guys all did 8-year deals?
I really want to look at their cap friendly right now. Hold on.
But yeah, so I'm taking the Islanders. I think that they were the most impressive team in the playoff round. Other than, the Avalanche beat up on the Coyotes, but that was pretty much expected. But the Islanders series against Washington made me believe that right now the Islanders are the favorites in the East. And that's insane to think to me. But they have talent, and more so than talent, they have talent that plays together. And they're well coached with Barry Trotz. I hate that Barry Trotz is there. They're not the most exciting team to watch play, but it works. And the addition of J.G. Pageau was phenomenal for them. They handed out a nice deal to him. We'll see how it works in the long run, but at least short term, it's been a fantastic addition. Matthew Barzal is one of my favorite players to watch. I said they're not too exciting to watch, but he is himself at least.
I'm curious as to what his contract will be because they don't have a ton of cap space. Like looking at because I was looking at the Islanders cap friendly last week just because I don't know what we were talking about. I was talking about with a couple of my friends about Barzal. We were talking about defensive free agents that the Penguins could sign. And one that was brought up was that what's his name? Ryan Pollock.
Oh yeah.
And we said that Anthony said that maybe they could sign him because they wouldn't be able to give him a contract. Like the Islanders wouldn't be able to give him the contract that he wants because they would still need to sign Barzal. And I mean, looking at their forwards, Anders Lee's making $7 million for forever. Brock Nelson's making $6 million for forever. Jordan Eberle's making $5.5 million till 2024. Andrew Ladd's making $5.5 million till 2023. Josh Bailey's making $5 million. Like they have got a lot of money.
Those are all okay besides that Andrew Ladd contract.
Yeah.
If they found a way to do something with that, yeah.
I mean,
I'm a buyout.
I'm not saying the other ones are bad. I'm just saying that's a lot of money to have invested into players.
I would think. I mean, they might have to look to trade one, and out of those ones you just said, I would think Brock Nelson probably be the first one they looked at.
Yeah, because you got to figure. I mean, Barzal, if you're him, you're starting at like $9 million. So, honestly, he probably would get double digits, I would guess. But I mean, going back to the Capitals cap friendly, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Nicholas Backstrom, and TJ Oshie are all signed through 2025. Tom Wilson is signed through 2024. John Carlson is signed through 2026. Dmitry Orlov is signed through 2023. Ovechkin, He's a free agent next season.
Mm.
So after next year, he's a free agent. Obviously, he's not going to go anywhere, but kind of similar to Malkin and Letang, not next season, but they're free agents in 2 seasons. Yeah, they've got a lot of money locked up.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, yeah. So I'm going Islanders. You're going Philly there. Tampa Bay, Boston. This is probably the toughest one for me to pick, honestly.
I know what I'm picking, and I hate it.
I'm going Tampa.
I'm going Boston.
I think it's tough because I think the best thing that happened for Boston, and it sucks to say, was the goaltending situation. I think that had Rask stayed, I'm not so sure they'd get out against Carolina. I mean, look, Boston was playing so bad in those qualifying games, and then he leaves the bubble to go attend to a family emergency with his daughter apparently. So again, best wishes to him. Made the right decision for sure. But from a hockey perspective, it worked out. Look at how Boston played after that happened, and then they obviously beat Carolina in that series, and here we are against Tampa Bay. I just don't think that continues for them. I think that goaltending wise, I would take Vasilevsky over Halak, and I just think that there's too much talent in Tampa. There has been for a long time, and yet they've still fallen short. Let's say there's not a lot of talent in Boston, but is Pastrnak going to be able to come back and be 100%? I don't know there, and that would be a big factor as well. I was really worried about Victor Hedman for Tampa because it looked like a pretty nasty injury, but didn't seem to hamper him at all. So. Yeah, Tampa's my pick here in a close one. I could flip a coin and go the other way easily, but I'm sticking with Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going with Boston, and the only reason is I would say Tampa overall is a more skilled team, but Boston, they just know how to play playoff hockey, and I feel like everyone says that. They know how to get under people's skin. They know when to do the little dirty stuff. And I think that's just going to play out in the series, and I think they're going to win. I think this series goes 6 or 7. I think it's going to be a long series. I just think Boston ends up winning because they are, I would say they're the nastier, grittier team when it comes to playoff hockey, and I think that'll put them out on top.
So that's a good thing that you mentioned the games. If we're doing games 2, just as like tiebreaker stuff, I would say Tampa in 7, Islanders in 6, Colorado in 5, Vancouver in 7.
All right, I'll go Boston in 7, Philly in 6, Vancouver in 6, and Colorado in 5. So,
yeah. I like Dallas as a team. I think it's a bad matchup for them.
Yeah. So, but back to what we were saying originally, when you asked, you don't know who you'd want to win out of the East. For me, it's very easy in the ranking of who I'd want to win.
Oh yeah.
Number 1 is Tampa Bay. I feel like that's the easiest choice. Don't really have any animosity towards Tampa Bay, and especially compared to the other 3 teams, they're the easy choice for me to pick is who I would want to win the cup. After that, even though they are in our division, I'm picking the Islanders, and only because personally I hate Boston and Philly so much that I do not want them to win. And after that, Boston would be number 3, even though I hate them, just because I hate Philly more, and I do not want Philly to see the sniff a cup in my lifetime. So yeah, those are mine. Tampa, Islanders, Boston, Philly.
That's how my order would be too.
Yeah.
But if you were including all of the NHL, I would have all 4 from the West before any from the East.
Oh, for sure. For sure. If you're going a full 8, here's my 8. Colorado 1, Vancouver 2, Dallas 3, Vegas 4, then Tampa 5, Islanders 6, Boston 7, and Philly 8.
My only switch is Vancouver and Dallas. I'd have Dallas 2 and Vancouver 3. Just because Tyler Seguin is my favorite non-Penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah. Okay, yeah. So we probably shouldn't read into this too much, but of course we're going to. GMJR once again went out of his way, it seems like, to defend Jack Johnson. And it really, as I mentioned, I tweeted the exact same thing. It wouldn't bother me as much if I felt like he was just doing it because, like, you have to. You're not just going to, like, badmouth your own guys, especially when they're still under contract and everything. Like, GMJR said Justin Schultz needed to be better. The only reason that's different is because Justin Schultz is a free agent. We pretty much all know he's not coming back anyway. So that's why it's a little different. If he were to go out of his way to badmouth a guy that's going to be here, that wouldn't look too great. But if I felt like he was just doing that and also to just not completely diminish, his trade value, like he has to talk him up, then that's one thing. But this is just like, because it's like a repeated cycle and we've seen this over and over again, I truthfully believe that this is like how he actually feels about Jack Johnson. He thinks he's a serviceable player, and that's the worrisome part of it to me.
I want to know what is serviceable. Like, he says he's a good penalty killer. There's so many times he's out of position on the penalty kill. He says he can be good with the right guy on his pair. That you shouldn't. It shouldn't matter. Like, you shouldn't be dependent on the other guy to be good in your position. That's so frustrating. And not even just GMJR, but when it comes to Sullivan as well, whatever he said last week, that he doesn't think he would have changed any personnel in the lineups. That to me is very alarming. Like, why? Why not? Like, what did you see about that pair specifically with Schultz and Johnson that you wouldn't have put Riedel or Ricola in? That if that's how he truly feels, that is a big red flag for me.
Yeah, it is, and it's, again, not just that defensive pair. It doesn't all fall on him, but when you look at the numbers and it showed that routinely, not just once a game, multiple times every single game, it's those guys that are causing the issues. Not being able to get the puck out of your own end, not being able to clear guys out in front of the net, actually, putting the puck in at times in their own net. As it is, Jack Johnson on the first goal of the series, pushed, was it Kakaniemi, into the net with the puck. It's not serviceable play from your defenseman. And it is, with Justin Schultz too, but hey, he's gone. So, but we still have 3 more years of Jack Johnson under contract. And it feels like, I don't want to say that the window is closing because of one guy, but it's just because of how they feel about this one guy. Who's to say they don't make another terrible decision like that? And when you start to pile on those terrible decisions, that's when you do close the window.
Yeah, and so Jesse Marshall had tweeted out a few days ago that the only pairing that Jack Johnson wasn't terrible on was with John Marino.
Oh, but, yeah, I thought you were just saying even going back to like Columbus, because him and Savard weren't bad together.
Oh well, yeah, I'm only talking Penguins because Jack Johnson is not the same defenseman that was scoring 40 or 50 points in a season, whenever he was younger. But with Marino, and I said he was good with Marino apparently, and I said that you can't hamstring Marino to Johnson just because it would be kind of like if your mom made you play with the weird kid down the street that you didn't want to play with, and he's not fun to hang out with, but it's because your mom is making you do it. That's what you're doing to Marino if you make him play with Johnson. You're just hampering him, and it doesn't make sense to me why he is on this team. Like, buy him out. What's the biggest deal? If he goes against the cap hit this year, whatever. You have two. Like, I would much rather have Ricola or Riedel.
I saw something. If they buy him out, it has salary cap implications for the next 6 seasons.
Shame.
I mean, the best case is they trade a pick or an asset with him to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I mean, I would do it. Honestly, I would. If you have to trade like a second round pick to.
What if you had to trade 15? What if you had to trade the 15th pick this year?
No. I wouldn't do it.
I think Jeff said that he would.
He might. I wouldn't do it.
That's tough. It's a shame that we're even having this conversation, but that's because they created this mess. You know, it's not like it was a guy that was really good for us at one point, and then this happened. Like the red flags were there immediately before he put the pen to paper. And
yeah, I was talking to someone at work, and they were like, whenever he was signed, they were like kind of excited about it, and I was like, not me. As soon as that was like leaked that they were going to sign him, I was like, what are you doing? Heck no, this is a terrible signing. You should stay away from him. Don't touch him with a 39.5-foot pole. But it's just so bad. It's turned out so poorly, and that's why I don't understand why Jim Rutherford thinks that he has been okay. Like I think his quote was like, maybe he's not as good as I think he is, but he's definitely not as bad as the anti-Jack Johnson people think he is. Like, yes, he is. On paper,
why do you think the people are like? It's not just because we don't like. There's a reason for it. You think we're just against Jack Johnson just because? Like, what would the point of that be? He plays for the team that we love. We're not just going to go against the guy just because. He's giving us a reason to.
Possession metrics.
The same reason you're giving us to hate you, old man.
Corsi 4 percentage, 45.8 and 47.1. That's terrible.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know what Corsi is, it's basically the percentage of if you're 50 is average, and if you're above 50, that means your team does well when you're on the ice. Below 50, it means your team does poorly when you're on the ice. And 45 is bad. So it's just very disappointing to see him say something like that. And I'm really excited to see Jesse Marshall's article he's going to put out about Jack Johnson, because he's like making an article going into why he's bad, basically.
Yeah. Okay, but you know, we harp on it a lot, but it is what it is. It's a bad situation, and one that the team put themselves in, and there's not really an imminent end in sight to it. So we'll see what happens with it.
If you wanted to argue that he was not terrible but just bad, I don't know how to word this. Like, there's people that would say to stop like hampering on him, like he's on the team, like it is what it is. If you don't think he's terrible after watching these 4 games, then I don't know what to tell you. You're just confused.
I mean, I will say he wasn't as bad this year, at least overall during the season, everything like that, as opposed to 2019. But he would have had to. I mean, I don't know how he could have been worse. So he wasn't as bad in 2020 as 2019, but that's not saying much.
No, it's not.
Because 2019 was that bad.
I don't know. I'm over it.
Couple other notes to talk about the Penguins. They signed college free agent Josh. I'm trying to pronounce his last name. Maniscalco. Maniscalco. Pretty close. And then also signed Luke Stevens, the son of former Penguin Kevin Stevens. I believe he was with the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Organization. But yeah, we'll see. The Penguins' luck with college free agents has been hit or miss. We'll see how this pans out. I think he had like the 6th most points among defensemen though in college. So
yeah, I'm kind of excited about him. Watched a little video on him and saw someone talking about him, and he's got a good size to him. He's like 6'2", 205, which is decent size for an NHL player. Apparently he's
Jack Johnson.
I don't think anybody should play with him. But I guess he's pretty stout defensively. Like a coach said, he loves to hit and he's hard to play against because he's physical.
Oh no.
But he will also join the rush because we saw he could put up points as well. He scored I think 32 points in 36 games this year in college. So yeah, that was the one that I was more interested in, more so than Luke Stevens. No offense to him, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
And then a couple injuries that came out after the season, of course, as we always have. Denny Malkin and Zach Aston Reese both having surgeries. Malkin was his wrist? Was that what it was? Or what was
I believe so.
Zach Aston Reese was his shoulder. I know that.
He's always hurt. Left elbow.
Elbow. Yeah. I knew it wasn't his shoulder. Okay. So, that could have, we don't know when that happened. Did it happen during that exhibition against Philly? Did it happen in training camp or something?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, I think it happened before we started the series against Montreal for sure.
I would assume so.
So it kind of, I don't want to say it makes an excuse for us, but to know, or him specifically, tell that he wasn't there. He wasn't himself.
Yeah, and I saw someone whenever they Aston Reese, they tweeted the thing about Aston Reese. I was looking into the replies, and was someone said like, "Are we supposed to see this as an excuse?" I'm like, I mean, in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see after every team gets eliminated, you always see some guys getting procedures done that they were holding off on getting. They got hurt at some point, and they're having surgery after the season ends. So no, everybody has different things that they go through, but yeah, I mean, when it's a guy like Evgeny Malkin, Zach Aston-Reese is, I mean, granted that fourth line was insane this year for them. Very good line with Zach Aston-Reese, Blueger, and Tanev. But obviously, Evgeny Malkin being hurt means a lot more to the team's success than a guy like Zach Aston-Reese.
Yeah.
No, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily an excuse for the team losing to Montreal. But it's a factor. If you don't have Evgeny Malkin at 100%, that decreases your chances of winning that series.
Yeah, I saw someone in the replies as well saying that these were fake, and they were just
especially in a short series.
They were using them as fake excuses as to why they lost. Like I don't think they would go that far to do that.
Galaxy brain.
Can we talk about where we think Matt Murray will be traded to?
You think he's for sure getting traded?
I think so, yeah.
Well, I know where I think.
I have a top 3. And I have a relative order for that top 3.
So the only one that I've been thinking about is Minnesota.
That wasn't even one of the ones that was in the top 3 of mine.
Bill Guerin being there, he's openly said about addressing goaltending this offseason. Mm-hmm. I think it makes a lot of sense. So that's why they're the number 1 on my list. There's other teams that I could definitely see a case being made for. So as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm curious if any of the ones that come to mind right away will be in your top 3. In like Calgary,
they're my number 1.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what their goaltending situation is going to be like past this season. David Rittich was okay for a time. Obviously, Cam Talbot was there, but I don't know what their long-term plan is.
Are you just guessing my other 2?
I'm thinking of a couple. Okay. Like I said, Minnesota was the only one that I had thought of originally.
Yeah.
Buffalo, I mean, they can't find a goaltender to save their lives. But if he went there, it'd be a bad situation in my opinion. I don't think he'd rebound the way that we hope that he does.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Buffalo was a team that I looked at, but I didn't think about when it came to their goalie. But Calgary was my number 1. I just don't think that they're a solid team. They just don't have a goaltender, like a number 1 goaltender. They keep going back and forth, and I think that they would be the team to look for a number 1 goaltender. And then my number 2 is Ottawa. And the reason being is they don't really have goaltending either. And they're a young rebuilding team, and they have a lot of picks, which would make them a good trade partner. Now, I don't think anyone should think that Matt Murray will bring a lot of value. Like if you think, like, if someone is a fan and they think they're going to get a top 3 prospect or a first round pick or anything like that, get that out of your head right now. It's not happening. I said at best you're getting a second round pick, which would be what do I think. And Ottawa has 4 of them. They have 33, 46, 52, and 53. I don't think you're going to sniff 33. I think you would get either 46, 52, or 53. I don't think you get 2 of them either. I think you're only get one pick. And the only reason being is Matt Murray's not the same goaltender that he was when he won the Cups. He needs a contract. And apparently there's a lot of goalie free agents, so the market is going to be watered down a little bit this year. So they're not going to have to give up as much. And if the Penguins are really looking to trade him, then the teams that would be trading for him are the ones holding the good hand here, because they get to like make the deciding offer, I guess. Because sure, Rutherford could hold out for a better offer, but you don't know if that's coming. So Ottawa's number 2, and then number 3 for me is LA, just because I think that's another team that needs goaltending. I think they need to rebuild in general, but that's another one who I would say needs a goalie.
I just thought of a team as I was looking here. What about a team he's already beaten in the Cup? San Jose. Martin Jones. Martin Jones had a terrible year last year.
Mm-hmm.
And their other goaltender, Aaron Dell, is 31 years old. I don't think that he's somebody to build around in net.
That's could be a likely team too. Let me look at their salary cap. Martin Jones, makes $5.75 million until 2024. So for the next 4 seasons.
They give us what picks do they have?
They have this year?
Yeah.
They have Tampa's first round pick. They have their second and Colorado's second.
All right, here. Their second, Colorado's second, and Martin Jones. But they eat 50% of that for Matt Murray.
And do you just make Martin Jones our backup?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't. I think that's a lot, because you're getting.
We're probably throwing it. Okay, Matt Murray in a third.
Okay, because I was going to say you're getting both their picks and they're going to eat contract.
Yeah, they probably won't eat the contract, but I'm not paying Martin Jones over $5 million to be the backup. So
no. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Other than that, what about? I don't know. Jonathan Bernier wasn't bad in Detroit this year.
No, I don't think he'd go to Detroit.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out soon enough.
Maybe St. Louis. Jordan Binnington got rocked. He had like a .85 save percentage.
Bad. I can't believe they went back to him in that game.
Should have just stuck with Jake Allen.
Who knows if it would have been different, but especially because they weren't scoring anyway.
No, they looked very, very bleak, which means the Penguins are the only team in the Salary Cap era to still go back to back.
Yep.
Love to see it.
We tweeted out already. Okay. So let's just wrap up with some baseball talk here. Tom Brenneman suspended by the Reds, and he also will not be part of Fox's football coverage this fall after his homophobic slur during a hot mic when he didn't realize that they were broadcasting during the Reds-Royals game. What a weird situation that was. And also, I'm so sick of these fake apologies. Like,
dude, his apology whenever he was also calling a home run.
Yeah, it always starts with like, I'm a man of faith. That's not indicative of my character. Like, I'm just so sick of it. Just get rid of the guy.
What did he say?
I mean, I'm not gonna say it on here. He said,
"Well, no, I'm not gonna ask you to say it. I'm saying like
the derogatory,
the F word for Okay. I was because I had no idea what he said. I just saw him apologizing.
Yeah, and I saw Jeff. Is it Passan or Passan? I think it's Passan.
Yeah.
But anyway, he like tweeted out what he said, but he put it in like quotes. But he actually typed the word, and he got a lot of backlash for it. See, in cases like that, like it's tough because he's just trying to let people know what he said, like verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I get it, and he apologized and said he shouldn't have done it, and everything.
Maybe if you're gonna do like that, you should put like the asterisks or dashes.
Yeah,
or
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough situation.
But yeah, it's just like, so he was getting, not to say Tom Brenneman wasn't getting a bunch of backlash, but that's where literally all the hate should have been going to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so he's right now just suspended by the Reds. They have to let him go. I just don't see a way he calls another game for them.
I didn't know he did football for Fox.
Yeah, apparently.
I feel like anytime I watch football on Fox, all I see is Joe Buck.
Yep. Troy Aikman.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's typically a Cowboys game.
Yeah. So we see other teams around the league promoting their top prospects. We saw Casey Mize come up for the Tigers. Sixto Sanchez is coming up for the Marlins. Joey Bart coming up for the Giants, who was drafted in 2018. Yeah. Yet.
Brian Hayes was drafted 5 years ago.
Yeah. And even, let's talk about Jared, too. I mean, Jared Oliva, what's the reason that he's not up here? Because there's absolutely no reason for guys like Gerard Dyson to be getting at bats right now. We should just be seeing what we have in these younger guys. Jared's not getting any younger. He's 25. Like, I don't know why you're worried about service time anyway. You're going to have him until he's 31 years old at this point.
Yeah, with the team this bad of a level, what's it matter if you bring up prospects? Because honestly, that's the best time to do it, because you're not going to make playoffs. You're not even going to be sniff 500. So what is the point to keep them down there? You might as well see what they can do at the big league level.
It would give, reasons for people like us to watch right now. Right now, my only motivation for watching is if Cole Tucker is going to play, hoping that he can develop, but they're not even putting him in his natural position defensively. Like, he's not playing shortstop at all.
Oh, he's playing right field.
Yeah. Watching Jeff pitch, shout out to him. He's having a pretty solid season.
I'd say Chad Cole has been a bright spot.
Chad Cole's been a bright spot for sure. Eric Gonzalez, he's been a bright spot. I mean, there might actually be something there. I've seen, Fired Neal's on the train, NS9's on the train. I've even seen, some guys from Fangraphs talking about it. Like, he's always hit the ball hard. Now he's starting to elevate it.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for his success.
Yeah.
And we know what he can do defensively. So
I was going to say, also shout out to Chad Cole for getting his first win since June 15th of 2018 last night.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just another one of the, it's going to be such a cool story too, when Jameson comes back and has that happen as well. But yeah, again, just for this season though, you're looking for reasons to watch, and bringing up guys like Ke'Bryan, and I don't know about on a national level for other people, but for us, if we were able to watch Jared play this year, I know for me, I'd be watching every game if he were the starting center fielder. So
for sure,
yeah,
I wouldn't even question it. I listen. You really think I want? This is gonna sound terrible. You think I want to watch Pirate games right now? It's abysmal. But if those guys were in the lineup, it would give me a reason to watch. Because even the stars of this year, except for last night, Brian Reynolds did very well. They've been very disappointing. I mean, Polanco's not even batting one. So
yeah, he's been tough. He's been tough to watch, and it's there's always an excuse for why he's not producing the way that you expect him to. You wonder, is he still not fully back from the shoulder thing? What's the deal there? It takes a while, and especially in a season like this, to get that rhythm back, because he's been hitting the ball hard. It's amazing that I think Donardo tweeted it, that his BABIP was 0.437 or something like that, ridiculously low. So not only has he not been good, he's also been ridiculously unlucky on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Josh Bell, not hitting the ball well, and that hurts the team also in a perspective what's his trade value right now if they wanted to try to trade him. Last night, Keone Keller gets hurt. Who knows what's going on with him? That's their number one trade chip. And that's just right around the corner. We're starting to hear some teams talking trades. There was a deal that was done yesterday between the Red Sox and Phillies. So
isn't the trade deadline in 12 days or something like that? Or not 11 days? Isn't it August 31st?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's only in
9
days, yeah. Not even, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at this team right now, it's who are their trade pieces? If they try, this is probably the worst time to try to trade Josh Bell. I'd be doing it in the offseason, to be honest with you. hope that he finishes out this year strong and try to trade him in the offseason. As far as like trade chips go, I really don't know what's there. I mean, Derek Holland maybe to somebody for like as a
Eric Gonzalez.
Guy. Like maybe they do look at that. I mean, if you want to play Cabrian in the future at third base, you hope Cole Tucker's your shortstop. Like where would he be playing anyway? If he is right now, like playing as well as he is, you probably should explore it.
Probably. It's just it's so hard to watch baseball right now as a Pirates fan.
Anybody from the bullpen somebody wants that's not named Jeff Hartlieb, I mean, that's fine.
As long as you never talk to us, that's fine.
Yeah, they are tough to watch, and that's why, again, we won't be looking for the results, but we just want to see some new faces and see what these guys can do. They're going to be the next wave of guys that you hope are on the team when they're good again.
Yeah, a friend of mine at work said that he might as well just start betting like a large amount of money on the Pirates to lose every single night, because say he places 10 bets in a row of them to lose, you're probably going to win at least 7 or 8 of those bets. So I think he might start doing that, because they're just not even that they should win. It's just they are just so pathetic right now.
Yeah, and like in daily fantasy, I think Ryan's just been playing like whichever starting pitcher goes against the Pirates.
Dude, Bieber, they only held him to 11 strikeouts. That means they did pretty well.
Yeah, they got like 6 hits off him or something like that. So.
Yeah, I think it was like over 7.5 strikeouts. That was the easiest money ever.
Yeah. I would pick that regardless of who he was playing. Like against the Pirates for sure.
Surprised he didn't have a perfect game.
I don't think I have anything else.
How about we talk about Fernando Tatis Jr.
Oh.
And that whole
situation. I guess that would have happened in between our most recent shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another unwritten rule was apparently broken. This is so frustrating to see. It's not. I think it's just a small group of people that feel that way about it. Like all the players have been in support of Tatis Jr. Most of the people around baseball, like reporters, media members, whatever it might be, like they've all been in support of him. So it's just a very small group of people. Unfortunately, both those managers of those teams were in that small group of people. I don't get it. Even like an old school guy like Johnny Bench, the Hall of Fame catcher for the Reds, said, what's he supposed to do? He's supposed to take a strike. Now it's 3-1. Say there's a bad call on a ball that gets called a strike. Now it's a 3-2 count. What's he supposed to do? Anytime that you get a pitch to hit, you should be hitting it. What's the best thing you can do in baseball? Hit a home run. That's what he did.
Yeah, the fact that his manager didn't have his back, that was so shocking to me. Like, how are you going to say he probably should have taken the pitch there? Because as if we've never seen teams score 7 runs in an inning or 2 before.
It happened with the Blue Jays.
Exactly. And in a season where not that every game
right after
in 162 games isn't important, but in a season where you only have 60 games, literally every inning is more magnified than a normal regular season. So, of course, it doesn't matter if you're up by 7 or if you're up by 20, you should still be getting those runs. And since people wanted to talk about running up the score, this is professional sports. So this isn't like high school or even college where like people's feelings get hurt. Like this is their job. Why should you not score as many runs as possible?
Yeah, and for him personally, when it's time to get paid, what are they going to be looking at? The numbers this guy's put up. He's got to put up the best numbers he can. Every single at bat matters for these guys.
Yeah, it's like the most frustrating thing to me is that not only has baseball been so underwhelming this year when it comes to they didn't know what they were doing with the season, and they take this situation and they take the fun of the game and they just suck it right out by people complaining about this stupid unwritten rule. And because do you really think fans want to watch a guy take a pitch on 3-0? No, they want to see a grand slam. They want to see a home run. So criticizing this kid for swinging on that count is such a terrible example. And I said it's a reason that baseball is a dying sport, because people want to take the fun out of it. You're not allowed to have fun in baseball. You have to be like straight face. You have to abide by all the rules, and even if they're unwritten rules, it's just so stupid. Like, you're telling me that Babe Ruth never swung on a 3-0 pitch before? Like, come on.
Yeah. It's why the game. I mean, like, baseball is going to have. It's very hard to push away fans that you already have. Like, those people are still to be fans of the game. But as far as like growing the game, it's really not happening.
No, but I love the response by the Padres by hitting 4 grand slams in a row the next night, all against the Rangers.
Yeah.
First team to hit 4 grand slams in consecutive games.
Yeah, they had before the Pirates win yesterday, they just made grand slams as we had wins.
I know. That's so sad. And I love the celebration with Eric Hosmer and Tatis Jr. They were doing like a little crybaby thing.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Let the kids play.
We have fun doing this show, like Fernando Tatis has fun playing baseball.
Yeah, and then he had a home run the next night too. Mm-hmm. And stole a base when they were up by 6 or whatever.
They were, yeah, and then they gave up 4 runs the next inning just to show that like teams can come back that quick.
Yeah, like just the whole idea that if you're up by a certain amount, you should stop playing. That just sounds so stupid to me. I mean, we see it in other sports too. That teams will get up by a certain amount, and whether it's because there's an unwritten rule or if it's just their own doing where they stop playing like they should be, the other team comes back. So it's not impossible for that to happen. It's just such a stupid rule. I'm happy that they hit so many grand slams on the Rangers, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but other than that, once again, tell you guys, Rock Around the 412 Year 3 is up and running. You can click the GoFundMe link to get involved. If you are a family or you know a family that could use the help this year at Christmas time, please reach out to us via DM or email. The email you can reach out to, aroundthe412@gmail.com. We are sponsored by Keats Barbershop, which is an old-fashioned barbershop located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. And every Tuesday, he does $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, Keats Barbershop, 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. It's been Smitty and Tyler around the 412, part of the Pod Hub Network, and allsteelers.com. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.